Okay, so we put the paint on. Now it's time to take some off. You've seen from the still pictures I just spattered it on using my spatter technique. See, I've got now several old, very old acrylic brushes, various sizes. I've got the remover. So here's the car now. Notice how it looks different. What I've done is wetted it with both water and with the remover and commenced to remove it. The pigments that have already been applied. Now freight cars, they weather kind of odd. They weather rather odd. Sometimes on box cars and cars like similar ones with vertical sides, it weathers in between the supporting structures. That's where most of the rusting occurs, like here. At other times, it occurs inside the supporting beams. Driving past a large chemical plant today, I noticed the roof of boxcars. The roof of boxcars looked relatively unweathered inside of the different panels, but it was the tops of the panels that looked the worst. Okay, now this side I haven't touched. Notice how it's all still spattered. Here's what happens when we start putting a little bit of the solution on it. This is the remover. See how it starts to thin it and starts to remove it. Hence the name remover. Go figure. So we can do this. Now, notice how it starts to collect. It doesn't always look smooth and rusty, patchy. Well, that's when you take your good old-fashioned acrylic brush, prickly, non-flexible ends. You just kind of start stippling. See that nice effect there? All kinds of good old-fashioned randomness in there. You can kind of twist it, circle it around. See how that works? Let's go over here to this side. Without even re-wetting the brush, I'm just going to take what's already on it, start going down the center of the panels, between the posts. See that? Let's take and start mitigating all of that spattery looking paint rust. Nothing wrong with it, just I want a slightly different effect. You can paint it too. See, the more that you brush, and remember that this brush has not been wetted with the remover. You've got the remover directly off of what was the parts that were wetted with this little guy. Well, let's put a little more on there. We'll go for a somewhat different effect. Look at that. Let's say this panel needs to be a little cleaner. Why? Well, because I've noticed that over the years, freight cars, their panels weather asymmetrically. Sometimes without really any rhyme or reason, it seems like. You can almost see, well, no, not almost, you can definitely see in some where the spray pattern has been. Well, I can't believe that they brush full-size freight cars anymore to paint them. Sometimes it looks like paintbrush strokes. But regardless, some panels look worse than others. Okay, so far that's a brush with the remover on it. You want to see what happens if we apply water? Here's the brush with just water. Ooh, look at that. I'll just wipe it down there. Go a little more like that. See, I'm going to go down the posts here. Because the freight cars I looked at just today, driving past that big chemical plant, the posts were less weathered than the interior of the panels. Dig that. So you're asking, well, then what about all this down here? Well, we don't want to puddle, so I'll just suck it up with the brush, See how capillary action, it sucks all that up. Go back through here, just kind of stipple it around, put different colors, types, and there we have it. Now, I'm going to take this this very, very cheap brush. Most of the time, the bristles come off. But let's see what it does if you hit it with this soft brush. See that? Look at what it's doing. It works the pigments, this liquid pigments, differently. And you can go back and re-stipple, re-blend, all kinds of things to it. Getting a variety of effects all from it. So, this side we got some heavily weathering areas. Side not quite so much. I'm getting the effects that I'm looking for. Now let's go up here again. Let's take another gander here at the roof. See that roof? See all the different ways that it's weathered? Let's start hitting it this way, because again, the thing that I noticed passing the big chemical plant today and looking at all the box cars and other cars, looks like the panels, the roof panels, are less weathered the closer to the edge. So I'm going to go by and do that. Now, doesn't that look great? No, I didn't think so either. So let's go back again and do like this. Stipple, stipple, stipple. Stipple, 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 stipple. Now, that puts a nice amount of decaying paint elsewhere here on the boxcar roof. Keeps these edges looking like they're clean, kind of like I saw on the cars today. And keeping the worst part up here on the tops, on the high-rise, higher portions of it. Stipple, stipple, stipple. Now, let's say that we don't really like that effect. Bunch of water. This is all water on this brush. What happens if I do this? Well, that's what happens if I do that. What do you think? Look at all that paint right there. All that liquid pigment. I'll wick it away with the brush. We'll set the train car back up on its trucks. And we'll just let the thing dry. We'll let gravity work. Gravity is a magical thing. We'll let gravity work. See how that's pooling again? A little like that. Let it slide back in. We go through here now. And I'm going to remove as much of that paint from inside these gutters for the roof. I don't know if that's what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it. Then I'm going to go back. I'm just going to stipple on the tops. Just like that. And it's starting to look the way that the train cars looked as I passed the huge chemical plant today. Maybe not just, but pretty close. The thing is, some of them weather different than the others. It's a nice thing about trains.